Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show presented by Mel Hambelton Ford. My name is Phil Nightingale, and I'm the general manager at Josh Profit Service Direct. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Beautiful day out there in the world of Wichita, Kansas right now, and probably everywhere, right? Sunny and 70, as Josh says. Somewhere it's sunny and 70, just not right here. We don't have either, Josh. We don't have 70. We don't have the sun either.
It's all a state of mind.
Okay. Got you on that. Hey, it's a call-in show, 316-462-3673. Anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything you want to talk about in the automobile world, anything you want to talk about in the racing world. Love to hear from you. Love to answer your questions. And as always, give away the great price package valued at over $130 for each and every caller. Only show I know you get paid to call in on. So we'd love to hear from you. And as always, Josh, what's in the package?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the Works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on your vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components. You'll receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then a can of CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving.
All right, let's see who we can get on the phone here first. 316-462-3673. Anyway, Josh, all kinds of exciting stuff happening here in the store with our new detail shop. Kicking things off over there. Got things kind of dialing in pretty good from that part. And looks like we got our first caller coming in the show here. So we'll get Jordan on the line here first. I wonder if that's who I think that is. What do you think, Josh?
Couldn't be.
Nah, could not be.
He don't get up this early. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He must have couldn't sleep or something when he got up that early. So we'll get Jordan on the line here in just a little bit from that part. So anyway, the new detail shop, it's the Mel Hambelton Auto Spa, and we're getting it kicked off over there. And we are doing some new things over there. We are doing what we call ceramic coating, and we're doing what we call paint protection film. So we'll get into more details on that. We'll get Jordan on the line here and talk about more about the Mel Hambelton Auto Spa and different things we're doing there for you too. So
yeah, we started into that, or well, not started into it, but we're discussing it yesterday and all the different steps and processes. And I don't know, my head was swimming there for a little bit just on what those guys go through, and to be able to understand what the full process is and what all it entails. To just protect your investment, for sure.
Anyway, good morning, Delbert. Robert Kenny's coming live to you, the redneck coming at us. So we got Jordan coming through.
I don't know what the deal is. Don't have him quite yet, but here we go. Jordan, you're on live with Under the Hood.
What's going on, guys? How are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good. I'm good. You're looking sharp. Looks like you got a brand new, fresh haircut.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that look on you. Looks sharp. Looks successful.
Is this Bluetooth or calling in?
Okay. Not on there, buddy. That's off.
No, I just said, don't you use Bluetooth? Josh, you use Bluetooth, don't you?
Hey.
Nope.
Oh my God. I should have never told you that story.
Oh yes, you should have.
Anyways, I got a question. Doesn't even really pertain to what you're talking about, but it pertains to the motorsports world. And I've wanted to ask this a couple weeks in a row, but I haven't been able to call in. So, and this is just my opinion, but I want your view on it as car guys, racers, car guys in general. But in my opinion, the dirt track racing world especially is in the Stone Age as far as engines that they run go, because in my opinion, the day the overhead cam motor was made, the pushrod engine became obsolete. There was no reason to ever make a pushrod engine again. I mean, they have a smoother power band, they rev better, they would race better, they would shatter a track record. And even IMCA stuff, they go to a crate motor. That's great, but they go and they start rebuilding these 1970s pushrod engines. I do not understand it. The day they invented it, there should never have been another pushrod engine made ever again. So That's my thought. I'm curious what yours is on it.
Well, Jordan, I'm gonna chime in there with you real hard. I think we're in the Stone Age too with the pushrod motors, but I really think we're in the Stone Age. It's carburation.
Fueling, yeah, to go.
Why are we not? Carburetors?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Carburetors went away
100%.
1985, and we're still pushing carburetors on these race cars today. Why? I don't know. From that standpoint.
I have no clue. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me either with that part. And I agree with you too on some different motor options and stuff like that. And let's take that crate motor. It is what it is. 400 foot-pounds of torque, 400 horsepower. Then you got the open motors out there, but they're really basically the same motor, same design, same everything. Why we can't get to the new age, I don't know. I don't know if everybody's scared it's going to cost the racers a lot of money to switch everything over or whatever. I will tell you that I had a long conversation with both USRA, USMTS tech inspector, and also the IMCA tech inspector a year ago about, hey, why can't we get the fuel injection? Why can't we get rid of these carburetors and go into that? And I'm going to tell you, I still think what it is everybody is, I think they're scared it's going to take the racer so much money to switch. And everybody's scared to switch. Well, you know what?
Well,
I think it's time to switch. I'm with you 100%. We need to go to fuel injection. We need to get some new technology out there for these motors to go. And you're right, the pushrod motors, and again, we're still today, Ford is still making a couple pushrod motors and stuff like that too, but it's not in the high performance side of the game. Look at our Mustangs. Look what those things are putting out. I mean, the GT500 is putting out 760 horsepower on granted, it's got a supercharger on it, but then the GT350 Mustang motor's putting out 500 horsepower coming right out of the factory. So I'm with you, Jordan, 100%. I wish we would switch. I wish we'd go to a new technology. I do, 100%.
Yeah, I remember in high school auto shop taking the test on different what is a cam, what is a carburetor, what is this or whatever, and the definition of a carburetor in high school auto shop was a sloppy mixing device. It literally is a sloppy mixing device. Now, does that sound high performance? A sloppy mixing device?
No,
absolutely not.
But that is what it is.
Let's go right.
That is what it is. It is a sloppy mixing device. I never thought of it that way, but it is. There's nothing accurate about it at all. I mean, then back in it would have been 82 to 85, they went to electronically controlled carburetors because of the emissions and stuff out there. And still, when they put the electronic controls in them, it only still controlled 10% of the mixture going into the car from that part. So, I mean, I'm with you. It's old technology. That's why the manufacturers went away from it in 85 and got rid of it because the efficiencies of them and everything else have been able to control the mixture, control all the stuff. And here's the other thing, my argument I made to those tech inspectors is, we have motor failures. We have guys running, and those open motors, I think they go 30 races and they're tearing them apart and refreshing them. The crate, it'll run forever because there's nothing being put into there. But if you had the right mixture going into that engine at all times with a perfect 14.7 to 1 ratio, you know how much more longer that motor would live? You know how much longer the parts would stay there? So really the initial hit from a racer to switch over to the new technology would be there. But long term, I think it would save them money because these components and everything else would last longer.
100%. And as far as the initial cost, racers are going to spend the money. Racing's expensive. I mean, if it is what it is. I mean, and the engine, especially with the overhead cam stuff, it's going to last longer. It's going to perform better. And absolutely with the fuel injections and everything else. I think it's time to change. I think they're dinosaurs. They're a shopping mall. They're a cassette tape. Call it whatever you want. It's time. It's time to get with the program. So
what's funny?
On the same page, Ham.
I got it. You're talking about cassette tapes. I got in a car the other day with a young gentleman, and he looked over there and he goes, "What's that?" And I go, "What?" He pointed over to the radio, and there's that slot for the cassette tape to go in there. He had no clue what it was, and he's 23 years old. He never heard of a cassette tape. Think about that technology. Okay, so if we're looking, that was a 93 car, and he had never seen that car, and we're still running carburetors that went away in 85. How about that?
Almost 40 years ago. 1985 is almost 40 years ago. 38 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, so let's get a debate going. Who else wants to chime in with Jordan and I on this old technology on the race cars? Let's get them on the phone. Let's get your opinion, what you think of that on that part. We need to call some people out. That's what we need to do. What do you think, Jordan?
I like it, Phil. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I'm getting ready to pull up to Botanica. I got to cook some food for these folks. But, yeah, I'm going to listen to the show. And, yeah, I'd love to hear some opinions on this because I've had this opinion for a while. And
I'm
it
with
sounds
you.
like you and I are on the same page. So, yeah, let's hear it.
Let's hear some more comments.
All right.
Racers,
You
let's
guys
go.
have a good-
Jordan, go cook some good food, and we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, bud.
See, man. Bye. Okay, we got another caller coming in the phone here, but yes, I want to hear from everybody else out there in the racing world about the carburation and new technology and everything else from that part. What's your opinion? You heard Jordan and I's opinion from that part. Like I said, about a year ago, maybe it's even 2 years ago. I don't know, time flies and you're having fun. That I did, Josh. I went and called IMCA and I called USRA, said, hey, when are we going to move in the new technology? When are we going to get in the new world?
So, and for me, it's more about what puts it more on the driver. You know what I'm saying? What makes it to where it's more about the drivers than it is the car or the machine. So, but let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Jason. Jason, you're on live with Under the Hood. How are you today?
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, so last week you were talking about how important it is, to bring your car into an actual certified service provider like yourselves. And I'm a truck there last week getting it serviced, and they noticed a oil pan gasket leaking around the oil pan. But the downfall is that part's on back order for 2 months.
Yeah.
My question to you is am I okay driving that truck?
Yeah, so an oil leak is that really? I mean, as long as it's not leaking on, as long as it's not gushing out or running out, pretty extensively from that side of things, or leaking onto something, exhaust manifold or something that potentially could ignite or catch fire or something like that, and we're staying full of fluid. It's really just a matter of maintaining it, but depending upon, again, and we would have instructed you if it was something that wouldn't have lasted that long, or we felt that it was unsafe, or that we didn't want you to drive it for sure. And then it's just a matter of when the part is in, or we are able to get back to it, to be able to clean the area real well and just make sure that the mess is basically taken care of or cleaned up from that side of it as well. And I will say, parts are definitely an issue. That is something that is for sure getting better. But there are occasional just some things here and there that, man, you would think it'd be simple and easy to get, and you can't, from that side of it too. But we would have definitely looked at it from that side of things. And if it was something that we didn't think that you could drive it until then, we would have made other arrangements for you for sure. So.
Yeah, they said it's just a slow leak around the pan right now, so I guess that's good. But you guys do exceptional work.
Yeah, what kind of vehicle? I'm assuming it's maybe like an F-150 or something.
It is. It's 2015 F-150 4x4.
And those, they have plastic oil pans, and it's not just the gasket. You end up replacing the whole pan, is what it amounts to. And so it's a matter of getting that pan. So. But it'll come in, and we'll get you squared away or lined out on it for sure.
So they've gone to plastic oil pans now?
So there are some engines that have so it's really just, there's a lower pan, and then there's like an upper pan portion of it, and it's just the lower portion of it that is made out of plastic from that side. And it's I mean, they've been doing it for years, and they've been very durable and everything. It's just the manufacturer doesn't recommend a reseal on it. It's just a replacement of the pan, and I don't know. I'm assuming just because of fatigue of the plastic and heat cycles and stuff like that. And, they're not super expensive either, as far as to just replace the pan instead of reseal it. You're doing all the labor and work to remove it and reinstall it from that side of it.
Yeah,
so.
the labor. I know the labor's on it's like 5 hours, so it's pretty.
That
pretty
part of it is what's the extensive part, and to not replace the pan while you're there, there'd really be no point. So, but I'm sure we'll get that thing in and get you squared away from that side. But all.
So am I? So since I just got this thing serviced, am I just better to wait for my next 5,000 mile oil change then?
Certainly, we certainly could do that. Look at that. I don't know how long it takes you to put 5,000 miles on a vehicle or service, but that is something. I mean, we would obviously have to drain the oil when we put the pan on it as well. And I don't know. I'm not sure what engine do you have?
It's the EcoBoost. I think it's the 2.7?
Yeah, so there's a 2.7 and a 3.5 EcoBoost
Yeah,
on that.
it's the 2.7.
And there's even, as part of the procedure to replace the pan, they actually have you let the vehicle set for multiple hours so it gets all the oil down into the pan, so that when you put the RTV or silicone back up in there, when you're putting it back together, that oil doesn't drain into that silicone and
Gotcha.
basically contaminate the new seal from that side of it. And so that is something. I mean, we would change the oil, we wouldn't change the filter when we did that, but yeah, doing it at a service interval is not going to hurt anything a bit, as long as again, it's not becoming a major issue or you're leaving oil everywhere.
Right. I haven't noticed any oil on the ground, unfortunately.
Yeah, so there's all these newer vehicles, and I mean, there's a couple reasons that the manufacturers have done it, but they all have undershielding on them, and the main reason for it is obviously aerodynamics for fuel economy, but then also there's a flow that they want that air to go through the engine compartment to be able to cool components, cool transmissions, stuff like that. And it's pretty common that we'll tell a customer, hey, you've got an oil leak or something that needs to be addressed as far as a fluid leak of any kind. And that's a pretty common comment is, well, I haven't noticed anything. Well, these I guess for all intents purposes, I've called them diapers before, I guess, that they've got them under there and are absorbing that all that oil. And some of them are metal, some of them are almost like a cloth material, and so it just is one of those things that keeps the consumer from noticing that. So typically with something like that, if you're noticing oil on the ground, it's going to be pretty substantial to be able to get through all that material and then still leak from there. So it's a good thing as far as like the aerodynamic side of things and the air cool, but you may not really know what's going on with the engine or transmission or a fluid leak just because that's absorbing it, so.
Right. Well, I appreciate the information. You guys have been helpful. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Jason, thanks for the call, and you have a good day as well, okay?
All right, thanks.
Okay, let's get Dan on the line.
82.
Got another caller coming up. Dan, thanks for holding. We'll get Dan patched through here in just a couple seconds, see what's on Dan's mind this morning. So 316-462-3673. Still would love to hear from somebody also about what your feelings are on racing with the carburetors and not fuel injection and the old push rod motors versus an overhead cam motor, that kind of thing too. So I'd love to hear from you. 316-462-3673.
From the other side of things, going back to maybe the poor budget guy racing on that, is that the tools and equipment to diagnose some of that stuff when you get into fuel injection, or even the knowledge or know-how to be able to do that. Getting into having to pay somebody to produce that or to figure out what's going on with it. I don't know. There's I'm sure a lot to be said one way or the other, but I want to know from a driver's standpoint, what makes it easiest like traction control. Is it, to me, if you're running a vehicle that has traction control, you're taking some of the workload off the driver.
Well, there is no traction control.
I understand that, but I'm saying advancements in technology and things like that. You know what I'm saying? If they were to allow traction control into it to make these cars newer and more
advanced. That's the thing is, Josh, there's people that went in and hid traction control on cars, and got caught, cheating, because from that standpoint too. So anyway, let's get Dan on the line and see what he's got to say. I'm all for fuel injection. Josh, and I'm going to tell you, it's kind of a deal out there on the carburetors and stuff too, is a lot of people don't know how to adjust a carburetor either.
Yeah, would agree with that. would agree with that. Dan, you're on live with Under the Hood. Go ahead.
Yeah, you guys were talking about carburetors earlier, and I can remember being a teenager, and we used to turn the lids over on those Chevys, on the 350s and 400s. I love that sound when you get on it.
Yeah, I did that
When
too.
that potty would open up. It seemed like it was faster. I don't know whether it was or not. Before that sound, I like that sound.
Well, I think we thought it was
Heck yeah,
faster,
it was
but
faster.
but I don't think it was.
Yeah. But it sure make a lot of noise, though.
Yeah, I still remember in Halstead, where I was born and raised up there, the old international dragway out west of town. We'd always drag race out there and stuff, and that's one thing guys would do to come race me and stuff. They turn that air cleaner over. I even had one guy one night cut his AC belt off, thinking it was going to give me some more horsepower to get going.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that kind of thing too. So it's kind of like the cold air intakes today we have on these cars, and from that part, it does sound better, does sound like you're going faster and everything else like that. But if you don't do anything to the tune and you don't do anything to the exhaust, she ain't going to go any faster.
Well, and
Right,
so
exactly.
the other side of that is, you may be adding 2, 3, 4 horsepower, 5 horsepower, but feel of the pants, like what do you think it takes to actually feel it in the seat? I bet it's at least 50 horsepower before you can,
For the average driver, I
for
agree,
the
at least
driver
50.
to feel something. And I think even that's a perspective, is kind of where your baseline is, where you're starting, and what you're, how much you're adding, because 50 horsepower at 200 is probably a substantial difference, but 50 horsepower at 800 maybe not as noticeable, I guess, from that side of it. So,
But yeah, Dan, you're all right. I remember the very first time my dad turned that air cleaner over on there and we took off. Boy, how did we thought we were flying?
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, it was noisy. I liked it. I just want to share it with you guys.
Nah, I appreciate the phone call, Dan. That is some fun. Turn the old air cleaner over and go. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for your good service yesterday. I appreciate it.
Well,
Thanks,
hey,
Josh, too, also.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in yesterday, Dan. Good to see you, buddy.
All righty. Have a good weekend.
You too, Dan. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
All right. All righty.
All right, 316-462-3673. Hey, let's get the phones ringing. I'd love to hear from you, but we still need to hear some more debates. Carburation, fuel injection in the racing. Well, let's go to drag strips. I guarantee you on drag racing, there's hardly any carburation going on out there compared to fuel injection out there today in the drag races. The drag racing world's caught up to it. So, okay, drag racers, let's talk. Have you guys been racing for a long time and you went from carburetor to fuel injection? Let's hear from you. What changed? What made it different? What happened with your cars when you did that on the drag racing side? So let's not worry about just the dirt track side, but let's get some dirt trackers out here. Let's find out what you really think about the carburation versus fuel injection and dirt track, drag racing, whatever it might be. Love to hear from you. 316-462-3673. Anyway, Josh, the other thing I would think, Holly's got those fuel injection cars, carburetor, throttle bodies and that kind of thing out there. So that's the next thing is really when you go to the dirt track side of this thing, and is it throttle body injection?
Yeah.
Is it port injection? What kind of injection systems would they allow or run or whatever from that part too? Even going just to a throttle body injection, I mean, you're still going to have so much more precise fuel mixtures and everything else from that part of fuel put in the right mixture, because you're going to have an oxygen sensor. It's going to read how rich and lean it's running, and then you're going to have at least a map sensor on there. You're going to have a throttle position sensor on there. I think that's the basic things you'd have to have.
Yeah, I mean, to do it right, I think you're going to have to go to multi-port injection for sure. But if you're talking about just making changes and advancements slowly, I guess, then yeah, the throttle body injection would probably be the way to go from there.
Yeah,
and I think too, from an expense wise, it wouldn't be astronomical to make that change.
And that's my whole thing. I know I'd have to go look and see what a carburetor costs today. And that's my next thing is, wouldn't the longevity of a carburetor and the maintenance of a carburetor versus fuel injection? Okay, that's another thing, because every year my carburetors go back to my carburetor guy. He goes through them.
Yeah,
and I spend up $1,100, several $100s on each one of them carburetors to get them cleaned and redone through the year. Fuel injection, you wouldn't have that. The only thing you have to do is make sure you got the fuel out of them so it wouldn't set over the winter. But it's no different than a carburetor. But you wouldn't have that expense, in my opinion. And then what I'm saying back to the checking them out and diagnosing them stuff, I would think that there would be a way very simple with that, just that few sensors on there. If you had a oxygen sensor, a map sensor and a throttle position sensor, I think is about all you would need to get a base system set up and running from that part. I'm not sure if there's more to it than that or whatever, but I think that's all you'd have to have is a throttle, map, and oxygen sensor. But then the next thing gets into it, you're going to have an oxygen per side. You're going to have an oxygen,
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So
Yeah, you definitely want one per bank, I guess, from that side of it.
yeah, exactly. So, hey, anyway, 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you and anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, or if you just want to talk about this debate on the new technology in cars, love to hear from you. So, anyway, we're waiting on some callers to come in. We talked a little bit about the Mel Hambelton Auto Spa. We just got it opened up and going. We're working out some of the kinks and all the processes and everything going on over there, but we're going to be we've opened up the state-of-the-art detail building over there where we're going to, of course, do details, of course, for our used cars. And we're also going to offer some retail details for some of our people driving on the service drive. But the other thing is ceramic coating. And there's a lot of myths out there about ceramic coating, in my opinion, everything else like that, too. And I will tell you, Josh, I learned a bit yesterday. We're sitting down with the guys going through because I don't know 100% of everything about that ceramic coating, what it takes and all that kind of stuff, too. But there's people out there advertising ceramic coating that, as you talked to our guys yesterday, it looks like it's just a wipe on, wipe off deal. Is that better than not doing anything? Yeah, that is better. But is it really the right thing to do to protect your paint and stuff like that? I guess I learned yesterday it's probably not, is it?
Well, and what I got out of it more than anything is the ceramic coating side of it is probably the easier part, to actually apply the ceramic coating. But what you have to do in preparation to get to that point to ensure that it adheres, for the long term and the best for the vehicle and the investment. And then also just in application itself, it's very critical that it's applied in a correct manner because you can actually damage the paint, from that side of it.
Well, and that's where
when
I'm
it's
saying
done incorrectly.
Yeah, and that's where the what I learned yesterday. Okay, so we're going to let's take a car. We're going to start with the ceramic coat. I wish should have had Caleb on the show with us today is what I should have done, or Calvin, one of the two, to talk about more in depth. But a little bit that I got out of talking to those guys yesterday is basically you start off washing the car, but then there's so many things still on the car that's got to come off before you can, the prep work. And, it's kind of like all the acid fallout and all that stuff in there. If you don't clean it off the car, then the ceramic coating can't adhere to it. Or if you don't clean all that stuff off the car before you start buffing the car, it's going to scratch the heck out of it.
Yeah. And one of the things that, really never even thought of, and before getting into this industry or being a part of this industry and seeing it is rail dust. These cars start out obviously at a manufacturing plant, but you think from that side of it at an assembly plant, all the different materials, they're literally on conveyors going through in and out the building, but just all the metal debris that is that these vehicles are susceptible to in assembly. But then they go to typically trucked or to a rail yard, sit in a rail yard for a little while by being delivered, then go on the rail to probably another rail yard and sit at that rail yard yet again. But all the rail dust on these vehicles and being in industry, it's something that, I've seen a white vehicle come in and it almost looks like it's Dalmatian with all the little rust pits in it everywhere. But never even would have ever thought of that, not being from the industry for sure, that would be a thing.
But you got to get that all off. And basically it's like prepping the surface to be perfectly clean before you apply the coating. So now then, once you get the surface completely clean, can you apply coating? Sure, you can. Is that still the best way to go about doing it? No, but is there places that are doing that steps? And we're gonna offer a couple different steps. Not everybody's going to want the detailed time it's going to take to really do it. Now, the best way to do it is to completely polish all the scratches and polish all that stuff out of there before you adhere the ceramic coating on. And to me, the average consumer for an average car like an Explorer or an F-150, I want to protect my paint.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get crucial about all the scratches and everything being perfectly clean. Now, my GT500, different ball game. I wanted that thing completely done, handled, clean, perfectly stuff. And I remember when they did my car, he would send me a picture of the before and after, and I never had no clue that it would have that many scratches in it before he buffed it. And then he would show me the before and after, and it's crazy. So then after you apply that ceramic coating, then it's going to adhere, then it's going to stick, and then it's going to be there. So you don't have any, they keep talking about highs and lows of paint. And I know that it's there by that way you look at it under a magnifying glass, you can see the highs and lows of the paint from that part. But polishing the car, prepping the car, but actually applying the ceramic coat is simple.
Yeah.
Simple, easy, and that's the least amount of time it takes to do that. So if you've got a high-end car and you want to really protect it, it is the best way to do what we call our platinum service, which is, completely cleaning the car, acid washing the car, polishing the car, buffing the car,
yep.
clay bar in the car, all that kind of stuff to get all that stuff out of there from that part. So, and then apply it. And then the next thing is letting it cure. You got to let it cure for 24 hours before you get it out in the elements from that part. So that Delbert is, you got to make sure it's clean. The first clay bar, buffing. Yeah, exactly. You got to get that all. So do we have pricing put together? We are still working on our prices. We're kind of swinging it right now. We've done several cars and stuff, but a lot of the cars we've done so far is just trying to get our processes down and get everything we need to have in place to do that and what it's going to take to get that handled. And so anyway, I'm going to get into the test thing we're doing too. But anyway, Delbert, so we'll get together on some pricing and that kind of stuff too. And Jason Cox says, what's your take on Meguiar's ceramic wax? Use it, don't use it? Yeah. To me, today, the paints, you go back to the years ago when we had lacquer paints, no clear coats, no nothing. And I think it was the mid-'80s when they went into the clear coats over the cars and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, back then, they didn't have that process figured out. Back then, they called it acid rain, would just pit these cars. And I don't think it was really acid rain. I just think they had the materials all figured out and everything exactly the way it needed to be, like they are today. But still today, will bugs get the front of your car? Will bird droppings, that kind of thing, still stain the paint and do the thing? Yeah, they sure will from that part. But anyway, Jason, to answer your question, is it a good wax? Meguiar's is a great wax. So doing something than nothing is better than anything all whatsoever. But the quality of a ceramic coat and prepping it, getting it ready to go was really the better way. But again, not everybody was going to want to spend that kind of money on their car to protect their paint from that part, to make it look good, stay good, all that kind of stuff too. And yeah, Delbert, we've been doing some experiments, that's for sure. So on the ceramic coating side, we have taken Jake's race car and we have coated the whole car with this Geon ceramic coating. And we're going to see, it is pretty slick. It's very slick right now. So whether the mud's going to stick to it or where it's not, I don't know. But time will tell. We're going to find out here soon how it's going to work and all that kind of stuff too. But the next thing is, how long will it stay on there?
Yeah.
From that part. Now, the other thing we've done on the underneath side of the car where the tires throw the mud up through there and everything else too, we've done two different applications. And I wish I had Calvin or Caleb sitting here, because we did a different application on the right than the left to try to decide
to see which
one's going to work better or whatever. So you racers out there, if you're listening and whatever, we'll find out how it does on Jake's car. So if you want to ceramic coat your car, we're going to find out from that standpoint. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, we haven't really kind of let that out of the bag or whatever too much, but we are having two cars this year. So the second car is back here on the lift getting put together, just about almost done. And the other car is out at Buddy and Tanner's right now getting its final setups and everything on it too. But we're going to actually put the paint film protection on the nose.
Okay.
And see how the rocks and the dirt and everything hitting that nose, does it protect it? How well can that Lumar Valor paint protection film hold up to that kind of damage and stuff? So we'll have some things to show you, different things of tests we're going to do from that standpoint too. So I'm excited to see what that ceramic coating does, if it does take the mud off of it and doesn't make it stick, or whether it still sticks or what it does. And then to see how the paint protection film does on that front of that nose. To think it'll hold up, Josh?
So there's a lot of variables that are going to go into that. I will tell you that.
Surely not. Really?
Yeah. From going around the track, yes, it will hold up. From competitive spirits, I don't know.
Competitive spirits.
We'll have to see for sure what happens first, the chicken or the egg.
I'm not sure. One of the two, right?
Yep.
So anyway, so there's some things we're testing, doing. If you want to talk to us some more about ceramic coating, whatever, let's get on the phones. 316-462-3673. We answer your questions, but we really should have Calvin or Caleb here sitting here. Yeah. And then if we wanted to talk about our paint protection film, we need to really have Noor sitting here too. He's our head installer over there for the paint protection film. Of course, Calvin is my master on the ceramic coating, and then of course Caleb does both. He does the ceramic coating and also the paint protection film from that part too. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these cars do. We've got several cars we've rolled out and everything else too. So yeah. Delver, it holds up to all that damage. Well, then shoot, it will hold up on your daily driver extremely well, I would think. Well, that's kind of what we're trying to prove and show, what that stuff actually does and how it handles. And, Josh and I both have had some not good experiences with the paint protection film on after they've been on for 7-8 years or something like that. They start to yellow or peel or whatever. And we've had some issues with that. But I think the technology now
and the film has come so far,
so much further, and everything else too, from that part of protecting and looking good and everything else too. And on our film from Lumars, who we're using, there's different levels of film you can buy. And I didn't buy anything but the best. I don't want someone to have a bad experience after we put some paint protection film on the front of your car. And that paint protection film, I'm telling you, is from rocks, chips, all that kind of stuff. But we can do the whole front of the car. We can do the whole car if you want to.
Yeah.
And then do the headlights. We can do door edges. We can do all kinds of things for that paint protection film. And I'm telling you, when you walk up to the car today after they prep the car and all that kind of stuff, you can't tell that's in there.
On there.
You can't tell it's there. And it's kind of neat to watch Caleb and Nora walk up to a car and someone else has done a PPF job on and pick it apart. From what they did wrong, what they did, and all that kind of stuff too. And it's just like the Land Rover we did. They'd done a front nose half or whatever, and they cut the paint. That's a first bad thing.
I mean, that's the reason that you're putting it on, is to protect the paint, and then you turn around and go and use a razor knife on it and cut the paint.
Yeah. So the technology we're putting into these things are going to be great technology. And I'm going to tell you, it's just kind of like I've said, we're not going to be the cheapest, because that's not what I'm trying to do with this new detail shop out there. I'm trying to give you a great quality repair to protect your investment. If I'm going to put cheap products on your car, it's not going to help. It's not going to last or anything else from that part too. So anyway, we'll have to get Calvin and Caleb and Nora on here one day to kind of go through the stuff. Maybe we got to take the ceramic coat one show and take the other one the next show and stuff like that too. Who knows? Maybe we need to go do the show out there and show the guys doing the work behind us as we're working on the cars and stuff too. That might be kind of fun to do too. So Delbert wants to know what's the warranty that it has. And I'm trying to remember with the Lumar film, I believe, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure I'm right when I say this has a 12-year warranty.
12 years, yeah.
On that part. So then the ceramic coating, that it depends on the different level you put it in there, whether it's a 3, a 5, or a 10-year, I believe, or maybe it's 9. I can't remember. And I can't have all that stuff in my head here of all that stuff. But we'll get those guys on the shows here and do some of that on the background, so get some more questions actually happening there for you too. But if you want to talk, get some things set up for your ceramic coating or your paint film protection, love to help you. We'll get Caleb and Nora and those guys to help you figure out what's best for your car and what's going to work best on you in that standpoint too. So anyway, 316-462-3673. Hey, want to hear from some racers out there? We started the show off with Jordan talking about the old technology with carburetors and pushrod motors. What's your guys' thoughts? I think we need to move get out of the Stone Age. I think we need to move into fuel injection, and even if we just got to fuel injection.
Yeah.
And still run a pushrod motor. Let's get some fuel injection on these cars and get rid of these carburetors that we've stopped using. The manufacturers knew back in 85 it was time to go.
Well, so the other side of that is, we can talk about going to a overhead cam engine too. I mean, some of the benefits to that would be obviously more horsepower, but I think for the most part, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, you can only have so much horsepower. You got to be able to apply it to the ground. That's where the difference is, right? So, I mean, having overhead cams,
1,000%, Josh, is getting the power to the ground.
Yeah, having overhead cams and increasing horsepower and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
Well, all I'm saying to you is on the new technology and stuff, it's not really as much as getting more power to the ground, but some of, like Jordan talked about, some of the power bands in there, that sort of thing. But you're right. The tire, from whether you're running the Hoosier G60 or you're running the American Racer KK704, there's only so much horsepower you can put on that ground. But it also depends on what the track's like. You got a heavy track, got a dry slick track, whatever, from that part. And too much horsepower. I still remember way back when I first got this was in 15, I was just getting started into the dirt track racing again with Jake. And I remember talking to a guy and he said, oh yeah, I got 900 horsepower in my car. Okay. No, you don't, for one. Number two, you can't put all that power to the ground anyway, so what do you need it for? Oh, we got a Delbert on the line?
Yep. Delbert, you're live with Under the Hood. How are you today?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Sounds good anyway.
Yeah.
So, a little devil's advocate here, you got to get that. First of all, let me start out by saying, if you guys are watching on live on Facebook, like and share that to everybody. If you're on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. Get that out there. Let's get it going. So we get this built up tomorrow so they can start making some money off this channel because they're spending a lot to do it. So
there you go.
Yeah, appreciate that, Delbert.
So we got that out of the way. The racing stuff, I'm not as familiar with it as most people, but I enjoy listening about it, talking about it, because I learn more that way. But yeah, I think fuel injection would be, I was surprised to hear they weren't on fuel injection, honestly. I thought by now they would be, because that's all you see anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And then,
I agree.
Old school carburetors, that's good for the old cars, the old 60s and 70s, but just for show cars, but to race cars, nah, you don't want all that. You want the good stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you if we can ever get the sanction bodies to switch over or that thing. But I still think a lot of it is that the sanction bodies are just worried that the racer won't be able to afford or don't want to spend the money to switch over to those other type of systems or whatever from that standpoint. So,
well, racing is not a per man sport. We all know that.
Yeah, and I say do it. Do a kind of a grandfather deal or blend it in a little bit. Give them an option to run both.
Two classes? Or
and if they can keep up with the overhead cams and the fuel injection, then great. If not, then they're going to probably say, well, if we want to do better, we're going to have to get more equipment or drop out.
Well, and Josh made a good point. If he's listening there too, Delbert, even though we go to an overhead cam and fuel injection motors and that sort of thing, we can still only put so much horsepower to the ground. Can only happen.
Right.
Because of this traction and what we kind of have there from that part two is all crew. So we build these other type motors with fuel injection and that. To me, all it's doing with the fuel injection is it's putting a right mixture in that motor. And I truly believe the motor will live longer if it's got the right mixture in it instead of the wrong mixture. Because again, we race, like I know 81 Speedway is going to be racing out there today, which 40 degrees is too cold in my opinion. Me and Buddy have a rule that it's 55 degrees or warmer before we race because it's so hard on motors and all that kind of stuff. But still, even racing at 60 degrees and racing at 110 degrees, a carburetor can't change its mixture. You have to manually go in, and it's like Doug just wrote on here is about fuel mixture and changing jets. That's a guess of what you're doing. If you're too rich, too lean, if somebody makes it, either way, you're damaging your motor. If you're running too rich or if you're running too lean, they say lean is fast, which I agree with that too, but then you're going to burn stuff up. Yeah. You're going to get hot and burn stuff up.
Yeah.
You run too much fuel.
That's like just putting pure alcohol through without any mixture to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Melt those pistons. That'll work.
You'll be fast that lap.
One lap.
Yep, that one lap. Yep.
Yeah, I've been down that road. Trust me. I can tell you a story about
I know
that.
a little bit, but I don't know a lot about racing. I just, it's just one of those things I watch but don't get into.
Yeah. Oh, so. I get it. But it is the deal that I think we need to move in the new technology. We need to grandfather it in or do something, or gradually move it in, or give a burnout phase of the other motors or carburetors or whatever it might be, sunset them out or whatever from that part. But we do got to get in the new real world. And I do believe the sanctioning bodies agree with that statement, but they just don't know how to implement it to be fair to everybody. And I agree. In the racer, that's what the racers want. And I'm talking for all the racers out there. Everybody just wants to be treated equally and fairly, not disadvantage or favoritism or anything else like that. But if you had the right way of going after that to phase those things in, I think it would be okay. But I think long term, it's
so right now they don't allow fuel injection. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. On the dirt side.
Okay.
There is no
on the dirt side. Okay.
It's all carburation. Both sanction bodies have the same rules. It's
rules.
All carburation. But like I said, we talked about drag racing. I guarantee you hardly anybody today that's competitive in any of the drag racing is not running a carburetor. They're injected, they're turbo, they're supercharged, some of that part too. So if you got any drag racers listening, I'd love to hear if you're still running a carburetor in drag racing, what class you're running, what car it is, and all that kind of stuff too. But I mean, I just don't think they do. So I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong on the drag race side because I'm not familiar with that bunch. But I just know the cars that I see and whatever.
Yeah,
there's no carburetors on those cars.
No carburetors
from that part.
I don't know if you read my comment about getting those guys in here and doing a separate show for that. I think that'd be an awesome show.
Yeah,
to
I
learn
do
about the ceramic coatings and
Yeah,
get them out there. Of course, that's going to take them away from their job for an hour or so, but
that's okay. I'd rather
could
take
pay
them,
off in the end.
I'd
so to
rather
speak.
take them away from the job and show and
People be more educated.
get more educated on what ceramic coating does and all that kind of stuff too, and get them the right products on their cars to protect them. And everybody's application is different. It's kind of like we're sitting there talking to Caleb yesterday, and he goes, well, first question I asked him is, what are you trying to accomplish? And I agree with that. But the whole problem with this is so many people don't understand what they want to accomplish or what the options really are out there for them and what is the best thing for their car. And it's different to me. It's like if you take like your Fusion, Delbert, that you have, there's a great ceramic coating practice we can do for your car to protect it. Now, my GT500 that I'm going to keep forever and ever and ever, that's a whole different process again there too of what I want to do.
Are you saying I'm not going to keep my car forever and ever and ever?
I don't think so. Don't think so.
Probably not the way I drive it. But I would think if you're doing that experiment on the race car for that, I drive about 45,000 miles a year all over the city in Oklahoma City. So, I'd be willing to
now
for a discount, not a freebie. But
what I'm going to tell you,
come out there and let you put that on there, and we'll see how it works for a year.
Well, and my thing with you, more than what I think is better on your car, would be the paint film protection to protect the front of the car from the rock chips and all that stuff. As much driving as you do, and the Uber and Lyft thing that you're doing, you want to protect the front of your car. So we could do the front nose, do the headlights, and that kind of thing in the front car, and we'll protect the front of the car. That to me is more beneficial for you as a consumer than it would be to do the ceramic coating, even though ceramic coating would help, that kind of stuff too. The next thing I would
it'll help the paint, but it's not going to help the chips.
Right. So now let's go to the next step with you. Windshields. Windshields are getting so expensive again because of all the technology stuff.
Oh God. Yeah, mine's got a camera in it and all kinds of stuff. So
we're working on a product that will wipe on the windshields that will help, but we're also going to get into doing a film on the windshield, kind of like you see it on NASCAR as they peel the film off instead of washing the windshield. We're going to have a film eventually that we'll be able to put on the windshield to help from rock chips and stuff like that too. So that's all still stuff coming down the road and everything else too to help from that part.
I mean, if you think about it, they've already got a film that holds the two pieces of glass together, and it stays clear for years and years and years and years. So putting a film on the outside doesn't sound like a bad idea.
No, it really doesn't. Doesn't at all.
No. So, because that's something you can peel off and replace pretty easily without having to change out a whole windshield for $1,000, $1,500 or whatever.
Yeah, agree 100%. So anyway, Delbert.
But in my case, as far as rock chips, I've already got one that's halfway up the hood, which is kind of unusual. But you get them up there as far as they go.
Yeah, and that's the next thing we just talked a lot about yesterday too with the meeting with the guys is, putting paint film protection on a brand new car is pretty self-explanatory. But you take a car like yours, it's got a few chips, a few rocks, and all that kind of stuff. The process changes. What we need to do there. Do we first fix the chips and let that paint cure and then put the paint film on, or do we just put it on? But you got to remember, if you've got a little dent or you got something in your hood and then you put the film over the top of that, it just magnifies it. So instead of being the size of a dime, now it's the size of a quarter.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there's all kinds of ideas and things we have to do, and that's why we kind of on a new car pretty.
But the good news is even if it does magnify those chips, for example, in my case, it's still going to protect the rest of it better than it would be protected without it completely. So
100%.
You're going to save in the long run, keeping that nose looking better for a longer period of time, even with one or two chips in it or scratches or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's like yesterday we were walking our trade-ins and trying to decide what we're going to do to recon them and stuff. And I tell you, every car we looked at had bugs just all over the front of it and stained into the bumper to where, we're not going to have to paint some of those bumpers to get rid of the bug stains and things that's on the front of those cars up in that part. And it's just a natural thing.
Mostly because people don't wash them off very well.
Yeah, well, that's very true. Very true too. Keeping the cars clean and all that kind of stuff and everything else from that part. So that's the next thing that the ceramic coat's going to do. That's going to help protect that side of the point if you don't keep them clean as good as you can or whatever, and that sort of stuff too. So all kinds.
I use a ceramic coat in the front, and I do it about every month because it just wears off so fast, that spray on stuff. But it does help, so it keeps the bugs from getting on there so bad.
Yep, I agree.
I can't scrub them off. So.
Yep. Well, okay. Hey, Delbert, when do you want to come to Wichita?
Well, whenever you guys can get an opening, that's going to take, because it's going to be an all-day deal on that.
All right. So when we get off the show, Josh, will you call Delbert, get him his appointment set up on his Fusion? We'll
Yep.
get you in here and get you going. Glad you got it out of the body shop. Glad the pictures look good, Delbert. So glad you got it out of there. and
Yeah, it
everything.
looks really good. He spent an extra 2 days on getting that paint because it's a 3-tier tip paint. So
Yep.
They only use this paint color in the 2020 model years. I think they used them in Lincoln's too, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
For sure. I looked
2020,
that
I
up a
think
while
was
back.
it was right now it's called Rapid Red, but I think in 20 was it called
Man,
Oh God, I just looked at it yesterday. But the code's D4. RR is the Rapid Red paint code. So, and they did that RR for all the years prior to 2020.
Yeah, they did. I know.
Why they changed, I don't know. It's just a little bit
because that's the color of my 500 is Rapid
Yeah.
Red instead of God. What was the color before that?
and it's just a little darker.
Yeah, it is. Just a little darker. Yep.
The Rapid Red, not a whole lot, but you get them side by side, you can tell the difference. So just driving down the road, you can't tell the difference.
Yep. Exactly. So, well, okay, Delbert. We'll
And
call
the main
you.
reason
Yeah.
I found that out is because I was looking for a door just to replace that door and make it easier, but couldn't find anything because there's only that one model a year.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The right color and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, just would have made the fix easy. Might still had to paint it. Might have been a little bit more faded or less faded than what I have. So you never know until you get it and look at it.
Yeah, exactly right.
But no, he did a fabulous job. He's been doing. I've known the guy since 1986, so we've been friends all this time. I don't trust anybody but him with my vehicles.
Don't blame you there. I understand that too. You always got to build a relationship with your repair shop. I get it 100%. So,
well, he taught me how to do some body work in that, and he was getting ready to teach me how to paint. And both our wives decided that we weren't needed within a week of each other, which is funny. But
yeah, that's kind of like I told those guys yesterday on that paint film protection. If you want me to even wrap a headlight, you better give me a whole roll of that film because I'm going to screw it up before I get one right. I'm not in. Not in.
That is not an easy task. And
No.
those people that wrap cars too, I mean, they're the same.
Oh, same way.
Yep.
I'm out.
Yep.
I'm out. I'm not
You
gonna
got
have
a little piece of dust in there, it's going to show.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Well, all right, Delbert, really appreciate the call. Josh will call you after the show to get a time set up for you to get that Fusion up here. We'll get her fixed up for you, buddy.
Okay, thank you.
Delbert,
Yep.
thanks
You
for
guys have a
calling.
wonderful day. Great
You
day,
too.
Saturday. Sell some cars.
Gonna try.
Used or new, I don't care.
Have a good rest of your day, Delbert.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, you too, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, Josh, we're running out of time. We didn't get any racers in here to say their debate. Carburetor fuel injection. I'm all over the fuel injection. Let's get rid of these carburetors. Let's get rid of the push rod motors, or at least at first, let's get in some fuel injection going is what I want. I want to see that in these race cars. I think it'd be cool and everything else like that too. And, Josh, just like I said, the maintenance, the initial cost is going to be a little bit up front, but I still think the long-term cost of running a race team and all that kind of stuff through the deal, after you put fuel injection on, it's going to pay off long-term of what we can do by putting just the correct mixture in these motors and everything else too.
So how about taking it from even an EPA standard? The emissions that you're running now, obviously on carburation versus fuel injection.
Hey, I didn't think about that, but
You
that's a
know?
good way to go fight it too, isn't it? I mean, the engine's going to run so much cleaner, less carbon, less emissions
that's-
coming out the tailpipes. Yeah,
That's your game.
there we go. That's what I'm going to fight even harder.
You're just worried about the planet.
I'm safe about the planet.
Want to fix the trees.
Fix the trees, exactly. So, hey, everybody, it's we're running out of time, and I wish we could have got some racers on here to throw the debate out there about carburation versus fuel injection, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get that next week. We'll get some guys primed up. We'll chime in on that next week. Maybe we'll get somebody to get ready to go for that on us and call in and give us their opinion of fuel injection versus carburation. And again, I'm done with the carburetors. They went away in 85 on the manufacturing side. They need to go away today. Anyway, Mel Hambelton Auto Spa. If you guys want to talk to us about ceramic coating, detail, paint film protection, we'd love to help you out with that stuff. Our detail shop's getting fired up and geared up, ready to go. We'll have some pricing stuff put together down here just shortly early next week. Maybe we can have those guys on the show next week from that start. Anyway, new Facebook page for Mel Hambelton Racing. Jump over there. We've got a new contest running over there. A little bit of misunderstanding. We said post a picture of your hot rod, but what I need you to have a picture of our decal, the Mel Hambelton Racing, on your car when you post it. And when you post it every Thursday morning or afternoon, depends on when we get together to do our video, we're going to draw somebody that's made that post, and we're going to give them a $50 gift card to the race shop and a fuel jug. And we do that every week through the whole race season. So just get your picture of your hot rod, get it posted up on the page, comment, like, and share it. And we'll get you up there and see who's going to be the lucky first winner this Thursday as we get moving forward with that contest. So another way of putting things out there for you and stuff too. So Mel Hambelton Racing, jump over there and like that page and we'll get that taken care of. And we need to thank our sponsor, Josh, which is BG Products. All the great preventative products we use right inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford. And also Go To Rent. Hey, man, Josh, I had to pull another 20 cars out of the rental stands fleet, out of the rental fleet. I did go out and buy a few more through the Ford auctions and stuff to get them back here and stuff too. So we're getting some inventory flipped, not getting any more new numbers or anything else like that. It's kind of funny, Josh. I've never seen the day that I went out on Ford's side and I bought every car I could buy that would fit the criteria for our rental car. There was nothing else to buy out there from that part. So anyway, if you're looking for a rental car or something to put your miles on your car, 12 or 15 passenger van, give Stan a call right inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford. And of course, Big Corner Carady for all your advertising needs. Jesse's got a great team down there. It's a full advertising company for your business. If you need a web page, you need Google advertising, any kind of advertising to advertise your business, they're there to help you with that. If you need your windows wrapped, you need your vehicle wrapped, you need your race car wrapped, whatever it is, you need your windows tinted. The guys at Big Corner Carady were there to help you, and Jesse will take good care of you. Give those guys a call, and like those guys say, just Google us. Anyway, Josh, hours flying by. Here we go. Next Saturday, we'll be live in the detail shop next Saturday. Okay?
There you go. Sounds
all right,
good.
everybody. Have a great Saturday, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.